Hello, I'm Patrick Kelly,
And I am Nicola Kelly.
and this is Faith International, your channel for faith, motivation, and
Inspiration.
inspiration. We hope that you're being inspired and your faith is being stoked and cultivated, especially in this series that we are looking at out of 2 Kings chapter 7. 4 lepers whose actions and faith literally saved their city from certain death through famine. We've arrived at lesson number 6, which is the lesson of power. Movement, action, force on display. And in reality, their actions attracted God's involvement in what was going on. So let's take a listen to this clip, and then we'll come back and talk about the lesson of power.
Amen.
Lesson we learned from these lepers in the text. Anybody being blessed by this? Because when I was reviewing this was just sweet to my soul. Lord have mercy. Who would have thought all of this was in just a little simple action? Going to get some food, going to save their lives, and they're teaching life lessons. Number 6, the lesson of power. Look at verse 6. Let me start at verse 5. They rose at twilight to go to the camp of the Syrians, and when they had come to the outskirts of the Syrian camp, to their surprise, no one was there. Verse 6 gives the reason, for the Lord had caused the army of the Syrians to hear the noise of chariots and the noise of horses, the noise of a great army. So they said to one another, the king of Israel has hired the Hittites and the Egyptians to attack us. You see what's going on? 4 lepers just walking, trying to get some food, just realizing that there's death behind us, but the possibility of life is in front of us, and feeling like we're going to live and we're going to survive this thing, and so we're going to move forward. And if we got to face our fears, we're willing to do it. And God anoints their feet. Don't miss this, because that's the power. That when you and I operate with the right motives and the right mission and the right missive, we attract the very presence and the power of God, who comes alongside and adds his super to our natural. And that's how you get supernatural, and you're able to do what people thought you could never do. Their faith drew on the power of God. Their little footsteps sounded like a troop, an army of soldiers and horses and chariots coming to the camp of the Syrians. And they literally became confused. I mean, they're sitting down eating dinner, and they hear the rumbling of the earth beneath their feet, and it sounds like armies are coming. And they just imagine it's the Egyptians and the Hittites, and they just lose their minds. I mean, they get up and run. They leave their swords. They leave their shields. They don't even jump on the horses. They just run as fast as they can, and they're leaving a hot meal. They're leaving the horses. They're leaving the weapons. They're leaving the gold and the silver behind them because they are confused. Let me tell you something. When you're operating and God is adding his power in your life, it will confuse every adversary and confuse every enemy in front of you. Amen. God will cause the enemy to be thrown into confusion because that's the mistake that the devil makes, you see, because he looks at us and thinks that we can't do anything, because he knows our weaknesses, he knows our faults, he knows our frailties, and he already decides that we're not going anywhere and we'll never accomplish anything. But he doesn't realize that even though we may be frail and flawed and messed up, we have a faith in God, we have a connection in God, that when we make one step, God makes 2. That when we move forward, God is right behind us to push us. And in fact, he'll go in front of us and make every crooked path straight. He'll pull down every mountain. He'll open up the windows of heaven and provide a blessing for us. And we walk and we operate with the power of God. Right mission, right mindset, right motives. You can't help but to live with the favor of God. Look at somebody and tell them, that's what I want. I want the favor of God. I want his favor on my job. They think I'm not qualified, but God's favor can open up the door. I want his favor in my finances, his favor in my family. I want the power of God rest upon me. That's what's happening in the text in the 6th verse. Their abilities are enhanced. They are multiplied. Their efforts are multiplied, and the effects are maximized because God helped them. And I declare that God, who is no respecter of persons, has positioned himself to help you and I. Psalm 121, verses 2 and 3. David asked the question, where does my help come from? I look to the hills. From where does my help come from? He says, my help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not allow your foot to be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Look at somebody, tell them, God's got you. Come on, encourage somebody behind you. God's got you. You don't need to leave no sleep. He's staying up. He's not going to go to sleep, so he'll watch over it. He'll protect it. He's ordering. He's orchestrating. He's guiding. He's got you. And if God be for you, who can be against you? If God is on your side, it doesn't matter who's not on your side. If God be for you, who can be against you? 4 lepers didn't have much strength. They're weak from hunger and famine. They're just trotting along, but God anoints their feet, and every step sounds like thunder, feels like an earthquake, drives terror in the heart of the enemy, and they run away and leave provisions that all the lepers have to do is come in and enjoy. You know, when we live life God's way, we won't have to work so hard. Aren't you tired of the stressing and the fussing and the fighting and the struggling and the sweat and the energy and the frustration when if we just do it God's way?
Wow. Another powerful lesson, this one on power.
Amen.
What does that mean to you? What do you gather from that?
Well, I looked up the definition of power, and it says the ability to act or do something out of the ordinary. It also says to give power, to make one powerful. And we can definitely say those lepers did something out of the ordinary.
Yes.
God anointed their footsteps, made it powerful, where they were able to do and move. And it caused confusion in the camp of the enemy.
Yeah.
What an awesome, powerful God we have.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. Just imagine it in the theater of your mind. It's an action of faith, and the action of the lepers drew a corporate action from God. He anointed their feet because every step that they took literally made the ground shake, at least in the camp of the enemy.
Yeah.
They're sitting down, they're eating, relaxing, what have you, and all of a sudden it feels like an earthquake under their feet.
Wow.
And it literally drives them into a panic,
Yeah.
into confusion. To the point where they are acting now irrationally, because they don't jump on their horses, they don't decide to defend themselves. Their minds are so scrambled by the actions of these lepers that they don't know who's coming. They just feel the earth shaking, and it literally drives them crazy that they run.
Wow.
But it was precipitated by the actions of the lepers who operated in faith and decided to take action. And in that movement, they demonstrated not only their power, but the power of God as well. So what we learn from this is, whatever your objectives, whatever your initiatives, whatever you're trying to accomplish, you've got to have confidence enough to step out, do something. What's the Nike slogan? Just do it. Do something.
Yeah.
And if you operate in faith, and if you operate with confidence, you can draw on the power of God, who adds his super to our natural.
Yeah.
And that's like how we said in the clip, you get supernatural. We're able to do what we couldn't do on our own, because our abilities are multiplied, our successes are magnified, and we demonstrate true power when we take a step of faith and we get God involved in what we're doing. I hope that you're encouraged through this. We've actually got one more lesson to go, and I hope you'll stick around and watch out for it, and hope that you're being blessed and that you'll stay with us. How can they stay connected to us?
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and also don't forget to click that little notification button.
Please.
God bless you, and we will see you again.
See you next time. God bless.